Okay, besties, I have good news. We are already starting this month off on a much stronger leg than we started last month off of. Was it something I said? She's been really clingy. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so she's up. I am so excited because I read Last Guard by Nalini Singh, and if you don't know, I am a huge Nalini Singh fangirl. I will link the video I did of the Side Changing series if you want like all the background and all the information on it and all of that good stuff, because this is the spinoff series, and I want to say this is book like 7 or 8 in the series. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is book 6. So there's 15 books in the original series, and then so far there are 6 books in the Side Changing Trinity series. So we've built like a lot of background knowledge in all of this and a lot of information that is important to the characters. But essentially, if I could quickly explain, so the Psy net is like a hive mind, essentially, where everybody who is born a Psy, so not a changeling, not a shifter, not, I'm forgetting one. Oh, there's someone else I'm forgetting. It's okay. You guys will forgive me if I do. So originally the Psy subscribed to silence. So like they didn't believe in emotions. They were very like, they suppressed anything, and you were considered like defective if you felt anything or you were not perfect. And they've since done away with that, but there's a problem in the Psy net in the sense that it's breaking apart, and there's a issue with anchor points. So there are people who are born, and what their minds essentially do is that they anchor the Psy net. And I actually didn't know this, or I forgot about it because I don't know. So I'm going to read right here what it says anchor point. So anchors are the foundation of the Psy net. They aren't simply integral to the psychic network that the Psy rely on for life. They are the Psy net. Without designation A, there is no Psy net. Akin to the band of rubber stretched too tight, the Psy net will snap into a crushing ball of death should the anchor points fail, the whiplash eradicating an entire race from existence. Yet, the vast majority of Psy never give a thought to anchors. As human and changelings give no thought to the foundations of their home, the foundations just are. Anchors just are. Until they vanish in the last gasp of a dying race. So, this follows Pyle and Kanto. And they both come from incredibly powerful families. And they were both considered defective at a very young age. They ended up going to like an academy together. And there's a situation that happens that really forges them or like brings their bond stronger together. And then they're separated and they go different ways. Kanto is in a wheelchair. He has lost the use of like the lower half of his body, but his upper body is incredibly, we call it fit. His legs are as well because he refuses to allow them to go dormant or the muscles to atrophy. So he is like incredibly physically fit, pushes himself. He's an anchor, and Pyle is also an anchor. And they are fighting a huge fight right now because, like I said, the Psy net is slowly pulling apart, wilting away, breaking apart. Designation A is losing members because they can't track children who are born Designation A. And in doing so, a lot of them end up like Kanto and Pyle, like they come out as considered defective, when in actuality, it's hard for an anchor not to feel or to react in specific ways because of their designation. So Pyle and Kanto form a bond very early on. Like I said, situation happens, they're ripped away from each other, right? But Kanto's never stopped looking for her because she was at such like a pivotal portion in his life and was like one of the few people that like understood his mind, understood where he was coming from, and never looked at him like he was defective. So Kanto's dad treated him horribly, obviously, and the head of the merchant family steps in and goes and gets him because it was like it was a contract, like a birth contract, and Kanto was given to the father versus the mother, right? So then mom finds out what's happening, and she's like, absolutely not. Like, I know I signed a contract, but like, I didn't sign for my child to be like treated like this, and goes and gets him. And Pyle takes over as CEO of her family, and everybody really looks at her as like a perfect Psy, somebody who is completely silent, even though like you don't have to be silent anymore. But the problem is her brother's a psychopath, and her dad pits the two of them against each other, and she's in this war to hold together her family, which is like slowly starting to break apart. right? So then enter the fact that they both find each other and they're both designation A and they're both trying to save the Signet together. So I've been really contemplating and I couldn't stop reading, so I've already finished the book and it's 5 stars because Kanto has my heart. I couldn't stop reading because like their connection is a thing of beauty. And Nalini Singh is able to write her couples in a way that they so intricately understand their fated person, right? So even the changelings, even the humans, even the Psy have people that are considered like their one true mate or their fated mate. And it's beautiful to watch Pyle finally understand that she's meant to be with Kanto and that they are fated to be together, because in her household, like, emotion is weakness. By showing emotion, by letting herself feel things, like, she is weak. And her father exploits that, her brother exploits that, and it is just like a thing of beauty to watch Kanto be so incredibly patient with her and so incredibly understanding of her needing time to understand that when she's with Kanto, she can let those walls down. She can show him that she's fracturing apart. Like, she can be who she needs to be in all aspects of her life. And it's a really beautiful thing. She had tumors at a young age. This is part of like her defection. She had tumors at a young age and she's being given medication for the tumors. And her father is the only one who understands the drug or anything like that. And he holds it over her head. Like, she has to be perfect. She has to run the family. She has to be ruthless. She has to be exactly what her dad expects her to be. If not, something could happen to her because he expects perfection and nothing less. And yeah, we do hate that man. So it takes a while for her to realize that Kanto is serious when he says, like, you can give this to me, like, you can trust me, like, I wouldn't ever do anything to hurt you, like, I wouldn't do anything. And she's like, yeah, like, okay, like, you're just saying those things. But, like, she slowly starts to realize, oh, wait, no, like, he means every word he's saying to me. And guys, like, it was, like, a warm hug. And like coming home to the Side Changeling series was like a warm hug. Like, I love being with these couples. I love seeing couples from previous books. And I love just being in this world. And the bears definitely show up because Kanto's cousin Silver is married to the alpha of the bears. And so he lives like right outside the bear community. So everybody comes and visits him and they're like all obsessed with him. And it's just really cute because the cubs are really comforted by him as well. And I think it's just like really adorable that like somebody who has lived in silence for so long and somebody who struggles with his own emotions, like has that connection with changelings who feel nothing but emotion. And I think it's really cute too when Pyle starts to be kind of like integrated into that. And she's just like, oh wow, like they're really big on hugs and things. And like, cause she's lived an entire life where like people didn't touch her and people didn't hug her and nobody said I loved you. And so it's a big culture shock, but I think it's like really beautiful the way that Kanto like was like, no, this is right. Like, no, you're not defective. And like just kept reassuring her and reminding her and bringing her back every time like she needed that. And like, in a sense, like both of them are their anchor points. And I love that because they're both designation A and they're both fighting to keep the Signet together. But like, they're also both fighting for each other to not completely lose it, because it's really easy as designation A to get sucked into the Signet, to like lose your brain to it, to try and like save it to the point that like it kills you. So I really loved like those aspects of it. And I just, like I said, like coming home to the Side Changeling series is one of my favorite things ever. And I'm so happy I finally read this book. And I'm just like, oh gosh, it's so nice too to like be sitting here and being like, guys, we found a 5-star, like we lived, laughed, and we loved. And Nalini Singh gives it to me every single time. And I just like could not help but be obsessed with just like how understanding and how beautiful like their relationship was, forged in a world that believed that they were defective for so long. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And yeah, I really like the fact too that like he fell first. She's always cared for him and like always kept it in the back of her mind, but like he really did fall first for her. And then, you know, like she came around to the idea. So I'm really excited to start this vlog off so positively because we stan Nalini on this account and I will not hear any slander. I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. So I'm looking over here because like I've got 3 books checked out right now. I've got Love Letters to a Serial Killer. That's the one where like she writes to a serial killer in prison and then like ends up living with them, I think, when they get out. I don't know. Or he ends up hunting her when he gets out. I don't really know. Then I've got My Darling Bride by Elsa Madden Mills, but like I just don't know if I'm feeling that. And then I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. And like, I'm not a hater, but I just don't know if I'm ready to start that series until the last book comes out. Even though I know they're standalones, I'm still kind of like, but I think it'll be one of those 3. Probably Love Letters to a Serial Killer, just because like, I think the concept's really interesting. So let's cross our fingers that this is a good sign and that we're gonna have a really good vlog to post at the end of April. Ugh, that's my hope, because last month's really hurt my heart. Okay, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye. Okay, besties, we are in the parking lot getting ready to go to Pilates. We have our straps, we got our socks, we got our water. I got here really early because I was scared that I was going to be late, because where I have to travel gets really bad traffic in the afternoons. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it on time and I'm going to have to pay like late fee. And then like we kind of spiraled a little bit over it. So we're 20 minutes early, 28 minutes early. But it's cool though, because I should probably get the reformer that I really like. So can't be mad about that. Anyways, we're reading Pink, and do I have an update for you? So we've started Love Letters to a Serial Killer by Tasha Coriel, I believe is how you say it. And this book has been a ride. I almost didn't want to go to sleep last night. I'm about 140 pages in. I almost didn't want to go to sleep last night because this book has me in a chokehold. And okay, let me explain. So, her name is Hannah, and she works at a nonprofit, which is like the only job she could get coming out of school. And so she works at this nonprofit, and she doesn't really love her job, and she's kind of dating this guy that like she didn't want to date in the first place, and like he hit on her, and then she was like, okay, yeah, like fine, I'll date you. And then he was the one who ended things. So she feels like, I thought that was going to do something and it didn't. She thought like it was gonna be something with him, I guess, like she had built it up in her mind or whatever. But I'll read like just this part right here, and then I'll kind of like talk about where I am in the book. So an aimless young woman starts writing to an accused serial killer while he awaits trial, and then once he's acquitted, decides to move in with him and take the investigation into her own hands in this dark and irresistibly compelling debut thriller. So she's writing to William, who is this serial killer, and he is like from a super rich family, and he's a lawyer, because all the men in his family have always been a lawyer. And originally he was going to be something different, and then whatever happened, and then he ended up following in the family footsteps, right? So he's a lawyer, and I believe they catch him after the 4th woman's body is found. And what is happening is like the first woman worked with him. Second woman, I believe they met through like a family friend. And then another one of them, he met at the gas station he goes to when he needs junk food. And then the final one, like they went out on a date, and then they didn't go out on a second date. No, they went out on a date. And then like he apparently just killed her, right? The craziest thing about this entire book, though, is like obviously like we know a lot headed into the first book, right? Headed into the first chapter. Because let me be clear, the prologue is her strapped. What is she strapped to? What do you call it? Strapped to a chair, strapped to a table, strapped to something. And it's an undisclosed location. And she's like thinking about like all the mistakes she's made up until this point, how she probably never should have gone to Georgia to meet with a serial killer, probably shouldn't have agreed to be his girlfriend, probably like basically like her life's flashing before her eyes, and she has so many regrets about how she's handled life recently, right? And like it's not funny, but I think it's actually hilarious, because like, what did she think was going to happen when she started writing him? Like, she joins, like, so at work, she absolutely hates her job, and she feels, like, unfulfilled.
And so she's really struggling. So she like joins this true crime forum to give herself something to do, especially after Max, who was the guy that she was seeing, like stops messaging her back, right? And so then she gets into the true crime, and she like 100% believes that William is guilty of killing these women and is still writing to him. And legitimately, when he's like, will you be my girlfriend? In the letter he wrote from prison, will you be my girlfriend? And she's like, yeah, sure. And it is just like reading it is so, it's actually crazy in my head, because it's like, where does she get fired? And nothing I'm telling you right now is like a spoiler. Like, she gets let go from her job, and then she ends up being able to go to like the trial. And this girl legitimately opens up a new credit card to be able to go to the trial, right? Approach him at desk, please sit down. So letting me go. So she's leaving, and she's like crying or whatever. Thankfully, there was a letter waiting from William, like he knew that I needed him. There were kindnesses that should have been attributed to the efficiency of the Postal Service that I granted to William himself. And in this, like, his letter is, this might be wrong of me to say, but I can't hold it in any longer. I'm tired of being alone in this world. And though I know that we cannot physically be together, for that I'm sorry. I want you to be my girlfriend. That is, if you'll have me. And then she goes through this whole spiral about how, like, he's always there for me, and like I can write him, and he thinks I'm beautiful, and he says like all these wonderful things to me, and blah, 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 blah. What's absolutely insane is I'm talking and all this traffic behind me, dear Lord. Anyways, all this kind of stuff. And then she writes back, yes, I'll be your girlfriend, but you have to promise not to kill me. Baby, he's a serial killer. It's in the name. Right? So then we get to part 2. Oh, this is part 2. So I've only read 2 parts at this point. So like, you're getting like, I had to stop and I had to come and talk to you guys about this because it was so absolutely bananas in my head. This whole situation was crazy to me. So we slide into part 2, and she's back in the undisclosed location with who we're assuming is William, right? Because like, we've gotten hints it has to be him, like we're making the assumption that it's him, but like nowhere on the paper in the undisclosed location chapters have we confirmed that it's him. So anyways, all I gotta say, guys, is like, no matter how this turns out, this On Wednesdays We Read Pink episode is slaying, no pun intended. 5-star. This bare minimum is probably gonna be 4 stars, simply because like I picked it up for the title. Why wouldn't you? But even if it ends up being like a really like not so great twist at the end, it doesn't matter, because I was thinking about this book at work today. Like, I was supposed to be working, and I was thinking about this book at work today, and I was like, so it has me in a chokehold, and I really want to finish it tonight. So I just basically came to talk to you about how, like, when we talk about people being down bad, Hannah is so far down bad and so far in the depths of like self-loathing and self-hatred that she has given up her entire life, opened a new credit card, moved to Georgia to be with a man on trial accused of murdering other women. And when I say it together like that, it feels crazy. Yeah. So that's what I'm in the midst of. And like I said, like, I don't know how it's going to end, but because I am this like bought into it, like it's bare minimum of 4-star, because I need answers and I need them now. So 3 cheers for me actually coming and talking to you about halfway through the book. So I will let you guys know when I finish, and without spoiling it, give you my thoughts.
All right, y'all. It's time. Also, Belle's behind me, so if you see like movement, she's just really wanted to be a part of videos recently, so, and I haven't had the heart to say no because I love her so much. Okay, sorry, I definitely held it up the wrong way. So Love Letters to a Serial Killer, I finished. I'm giving it 4 stars. Now, this is a thriller. Let me double check that before I lie to you guys. Yeah, debut thriller. This is a thriller. I am not one of those girlies who's like well versed in the thriller genre, so I'm not gonna sit here and like pick apart like the parts of it or like all of that kind of stuff. I read this for the title. I read this for the vibes, and it's 4 stars because I didn't hate the ending, but I didn't love it. And I don't want to spoil it, and I'm not going to spoil it because that's just not who I am, and I don't have a spoiler tag on this. But I wanted something different from the ending. Let me be clear. We know he gets acquitted, so that's not a spoiler. It's literally in the synopsis, right? I knew who the real killer was, though. Like, I guessed that early on. And I don't think it ruined my reading experience, though, because then when when it was finally revealed, I was like, she's a detective. So I was really excited about that, right? But it was just like the last 50 pages, I was like, what am I even, like, girly pop, what are we doing? I didn't understand kind of like why she made some of the decisions that she made. And I was also kind of mad at her too. And like, I don't think it's like really fair, right? Because like, I'm not gonna sit here and say she's an unreliable narrator. Like, this is how she's perceiving like the story and the things that are happening, right? And she's just as like, she's living the story at the same time like we're living it. So to call her unreliable is like actually wild. I don't like, I just, the ending there, I wanted something different. And I can't tell you what ending I wanted because like, I didn't want her to end up with a serial killer. Also, I don't know what that was. Like, there's this little bump right here in my shirt. I was trying to get it to go away. It's not working. I had to throw my pink shirt on for on Wednesdays we wear pink. But I like, if you're just looking for like a chick to kind of go off the deep end and be a little bit crazy and literally agree to marry and move in with a serial killer, and then I would say watch her, like her life kind of fell apart and then kind of went back together. But I won't lie and say that the one twist in the end of this book didn't send me. And I have to give it credit because I finished this a few days ago and I'm still kind of thinking about it. Like, I wonder like if they'll do like another book for it, or like maybe somebody else in the story will get like their own or something like that. I'm not sure. I really enjoyed it. I don't know where it falls. Like, I have a feeling that like some of the thriller booktubers that I read would be like, this is mid, and give it like a 2 or 3. So I feel like if you're like a committed thriller girly, you'll be like, I mean, it's all right. I haven't read enough thrillers to feel like I can judge based off of like what is really good and like what isn't really good. All I know is I read this in 2 days. I was in the story the whole time. I was locked in. I shared it with my therapist because I was like, oh my God, you'll never believe the story I'm reading right now. And I told her all about it. And so for me, that is a pretty solid read. And literally the only reason why it's not a 5-star for me is because the ending just made me mad. What ending did I want? I don't know. But the ending the author gave me, I didn't like it. So there's that. Also too, like I like to do in this series, we're going to go ahead and take my thumbnail picture because I just kind of like to do that. And it's kind of turning into a trend. So thank you so much for tuning into this video, especially if you watched last month's video because last month's video is so bad. I just didn't find any books that I liked, so last one was a little bit of a dumpster fire. But The Last Guard by Nalini Singh was a 5-star, so we had a banger there. And then Love Letters to a Serial Killer was a 4-star, so I would say my library really came through for me on this one because I know I like Nalini because obviously like I'm deep into the spinoff series of the original 15-book series, but I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about this one. But, you know, the true crime girly in me was like really excited about it. So yeah, I am really excited about how this episode turned out. I hope you guys absolutely love it. Next month, I'm thinking about theming it out of like reading romance authors that I used to read when I was in high school, checking out a few of their pink books from the library, because I used to like go to the library every day over the summer and like voraciously read. And I was like walking, and I used to read like Linda Lael Miller, Susan Mallory, Susan Elizabeth Phillips, Julie Garwood. Like, I was that kind of girly. And I was like, oh my gosh, it'd be so fun if I could do some like high school themed Kyan like love to read these romance authors. So that's my plan for May's episode. And I have picked up one book. I'm potentially gonna pick up another one. Pink books are like hard to come by because a lot of them like the spine is pink, and then you pull the cover out and it's like, wow, this is not what the spine was giving me. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I highly recommend, obviously, both of the books that I read in this episode, and I'm so happy that this vlog is going to be way more amazing than the last one was, so thanks for sticking in with me. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of my book besties, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Bye!